Assalamualaikum. So today there will be no new lecture. Rather, we'll continue the lecture which we had to leave yesterday, which we did not complete fully. But we do not upload that lecture separately, but we'll be joining these two lectures and they will form a single lecture because perspective and area of topic is more or less same, so we cannot break that understanding. So without further wasting any time on introduction, let me come to the topic itself. We should close the door. We have a lot of noise coming from is our yesterday we spoke about reasons of conflict. Did we speak? Reasons. Now, when I said that the early period of both Brahmans and Vijaynagar was full of clashes, but you'd be surprised to know here. When I say you, please concentrate. Where I am saying you that their political history is not that much important, because they on and off historians were not much interested in their political history or clashes or in their they do not speak length and breadth about their clashes. Why? Can you give me a reason?
They are not important.
Because they do not make any significant contribution, or they did not significantly like Mauryas, Guptas, they went far ahead with their empire, but they used to be on and off in an area surrounding their capital. If Vijayanagar used to win in one battle, Brahmans used to win in another, and later the treaty used to be signed that they issued. The treaty obligated them to return to establish their original borders which they had been having before the battle or before the clash. So it did not interest their historians. But when it comes to cultural history of Vijayanagar kingdom, its or contribution to this administration, governance, and education of Muhammad Gawan of Brahmans, very important, very very important. And UPSC often asks you questions in those areas. However, let me take you to another step ahead. That you might be observing or you might observe in tomorrow's lecture, perhaps. Tomorrow's lecture, perhaps, that you might study about foreigners coming to Brahmans or Vijayanagar. UPSC has been interested in those areas as well. What did they speak about Vijayanagar kingdom? What did they speak about their political, social, economic structure? Therefore, we cannot leave foreigners aside when we discuss Vijayanagar. Then as said earlier, then we'll move to age of climax during Krishna Deva Raya. And there we will have a lot of so many things, and where we'll study Vijayanagar polity will be, when I say that political structure or social structure or economic structure, it would be more or less when we'll be studying of that time when Vijayanagar would have consolidated. And consolidated, it was time in the times of Krishna Deva Raya. Now, let's open why did these fights begin, and let's study those reasons we have already studied. Now, we'll start with beginning of conflict. Not important for exams, but very important for building a concept about Vijayanagar kingdom. Or sometimes there are some of the treaties or some of the points of the treaties which necessitated me to discuss on these topics, because they can help you to widen your horizon. Now, it was in 1367 when Haryana rather Bukka one. It was Bukka one who opened era of conflict for Vijaynagar. Bukka one assaulted fortress of Mudkal. What did he do? Assaulted. Not important. You just remember it. I will tell you. Just remember the chronology and little bit about the fight. Don't make it a note. Full fledged note नहीं बनाना. सिर्फ flow chart में ही बनाना. Assaulted fortress of Mudkal. Now, sir, why is it important? And while he assaulted the fortress of Mudkal, he almost killed all persons in that fortress except one. ठीक? And this fortress was in a disputed area of Tunga Bhadra. Why is it important? For two reasons. This was the first time in the South history that there was a use of superior artillery as well as efficient cavalry. First time during this in the South India, use of इसका कोई सिग्निफिकेंस है तो तभी तो हम पढ़ रहे हैं ना, वरना क्यों हम पढ़ते हैं? यूज ऑफ सुपीरियर ऑर्डिनरी efficient ठीक. But during this, when Bahmani ruler saw this all happening, that assassination of large scale had taken place, what was common in these fights is they used to destroy whole man, property, nothing, devastated everything. While learning about this assault, the Bahmani ruler first time crossed into the areas of Vijaynagar and gave a huge blow to this Vijaynagar kingdom, Bukkavan. Ultimately, this war concluded and treaty was signed. ठीक. What was उस treaty में क्या साइन किया गया? ये जो दो आप था, first they should restore to their original positions. What position they had occupied before the war, they should restore it. They should restore it. Second, दो आप शेयरिंग हो गए, शेयर्ड बिटवीन बोथ हो. दिख रहा है आपको कहीं पे कुछ पॉलिटिकली कोई खतरनाक डेवलपमेंट हो रही है? नहीं, क्योंकि ओरिजिनल वापस उन्हीं जगहों को हासिल करना था जो ऑलरेडी आपके पास थे. दो आप तो वैसे भी आप शेयर नहीं कर रहे थे, अब वापस उसको ट्रीटी से ये वापस एस्टैब्लिश कराया कि दो आपकी शेयरिंग वापस हो जाएगी. ठीक. But there was one more important point in this treaty, that and this is important. This is important in the larger global perspective. They recognized one thing. That we have to remain neighbors. It was certain that we have to remain neighbors. That's why they decided to stop in this much of cruelty, or to avoid cruelty in a war, because these sides had to remain as neighbors. They remembered one thing, which Atal Bihari Vajpayee also said, that we can change everything, but we cannot change our neighbors. So they recognized that this cruelty had to stop. Ultimately, we had to remain neighbors. So we should avoid this kind of cruelty. This is an important lesson for today. आजकल की पॉलिटी में ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट लेसन, ये स्टेटमेंट, ये ट्रीटी का ये पॉइंट रोल प्ले कर सकता है। क्या क्या कह सकते, क्या क्या कि वी शुड ऑलवेज व्हेन देयर इज जो वॉर कैन नॉट बी ऑलवेज वन थ्रू कोर्शन। Once it is won through coercion, means catastrophe and devastation has to be on large scale. You will have to remember these aspects as well. But when diplomacy starts to make inroads, when things are separate through diplomacy, we can stop that catastrophe or devastation. If not stop, but we can definitely reduce those. Means if coercion is the principle of war, but diplomacy has been always since the war began in the world. Okay? ठीक है? Now, it was the times of Harihabuka 1. Now, so those stop for a time. These two stopped. Are you समझ? Now there would be beginning. Renewal of conflict. This was the beginning of conflict under Harihara 1. Now there would be a renewal of conflict. ठीक है? मैंने बताया ना कि इनमें ज्यादा पॉलिटिकली खतरनाक कुछ चीजें नहीं है, बट यहाँ कुछ हमें लेसन्स मिल रहे हैं, इसलिए मुझे आपको ये पढ़ाना पड़ रहा है, अदरवाइज इनमें कुछ खास नहीं है। ठीक है? Now, this was a beginning of ना हरिहरा 2 के अंदर एक, और इसके बाद था ईस्टवर्ड एक्सपेंशन। क्या था? उस ईस्टवर्ड एक्सपेंशन में आप क्या देखेंगे? If we again analyze their area, Krishna grew up, means eastward expansion, they now are moving towards Krishna Godavari basin. ठीक? यहाँ कृष्णा गोदावरी, यहाँ वारंगल, रूरल ऑफ वारंगल, काकतियाल, ठीक है? और यहाँ कौन थे? यहाँ रेड्डीज थे। कौन? रेड्डीज थे। ठीक है? आप ये कौन थे? नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर यू। हाँ? यहाँ हम थोड़ा बात करेंगे बहमांस की। यहाँ बात होगी बहमांस की। किसकी बात होगी? बहमान। ये जो रूलर ऑफ वारंगल थे ना, इसने हसन गांगू, जो हमने पढ़ा उसके बारे में, उसको दिल्ली सल्तनत के खिलाफ उसकी मदद की थी। किसने? वारंगल के किंग्स ने क्या, किसको मदद की थी? हसन गांगू को मदद की थी। had helped against Delhi Sultan. Against Delhi Sultan. और अब इस बहमा रूलर ने इस चीज को रिकॉग्नाइज किया था कि ये इन्होंने हमारी मदद की, तो उन्होंने क्या किया? उन्होंने गोलकंडा को अपनी बाउंड्री बनाई। क्या बोला? हम गोलकंडा से आगे नहीं जाएंगे। बहमान रूलर फिक्स्ड गोलकंडा एज अ बाउंड्री ऑफ हिज किंगडम एंड प्रोवाइडेड neither he or his successor would encroach against Warangal in future. अब यहां से क्या आया समझ? गोलकंडा अगर आप मानो ये बन गई, क्या बन गई? बाउंड्री। ठीक? और क्या बोला? बोला कि मेरा रूल यहीं तक, चाहे कोई सक्सेसर होगा या मैं, इससे आगे मैं नहीं जाऊंगा क्योंकि इसके आगे मैंने रिकॉग्नाइज की है वारंगल की टेरिटरी. हाँ, वो मीन्स वी विल नॉट एनक्रोच इनटू देयर. What is this? What does this signify? This signifies that they had entered into an alliance with Varangal. Brahmans, Varangal alliance. Means we are witnessing one diplomatic initiative from Brahmans and alliance. But we are, huh?
Kakatiyas.
यस, क्या देख रहे हैं हम एक डिप्लोमेटिक इनिशिएटिव देख रहे हैं कि बहमान और वारंगल के साथ एक अलायंस. और ये अलायंस ऑलमोस्ट कितने साल से चली? 50 इयर्स. ठीक है, जिसकी वजह से हरिहरा टू अपनी he could never run वारंगल. ठीक है, उसने कोशिश की थी बट बहमान्स वारंगल अलायंस ने उसको सक्सेसफुल होने ना दिया. किसने? ईस्टवर्ड एक्सपेंशन में हरिहरा टू ने कोशिश की थी कि मैं ईस्टवर्ड एक्सपेंशन में वारंगल को अपने साथ लूं और रेडीज का जो किंगडम है ना, इसको अपने आप में डिवाइड कर. बट वारंगल एंड बहमान अलायंस प्रूव टू बी वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग. This was an alliance of almost 50 years, so they stopped Harihara to ultimately conquer these areas. But he was successful in wresting Belgaum and Goa from Bahmani kingdom. If we had to highlight the achievements of Harihara too, nothing more than one thing, that he was successful in wresting Belgaum and Goa from Bahmanis. ठीक? Now we'll go to renewal of conflict. ये समझा?
You mentioned a point that when fort was attacked, all except one was killed.
That's not important. Who was he? Here, that was only he was left to narrate the story of horrors of Bukavan. ठीक? This was the same strategy that was used in this Anglo-Afghan wars. They left 8 British soldiers to narrate the story and the horrors that had been incurred upon them during those wars. Now, the renewal of conflict. We are going phase-wise and chronology-wise. This renewal of conflict was under Devaraya. Why? Fight for Tungabhadra too. ठीक है? And during this conflict, he defeated Firoz Shah Bahman. और फिरोज शाह बहमान का आप थोड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन देखेंगे जब हम कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ बहमानीज पढ़ेंगे, थोड़ा वहाँ फिरोज शाह की कंट्रीब्यूशन भी, फिरोज शाह बहमान की कंट्रीब्यूशन आप उस पर हाईलाइट होगा. ठीक है? रायचूर, हाँ, ठीक है. And ultimately they fought, and they same thing, they found a treaty and entered into the peace. ठीक? But this peace, you know what, this Firoz, and see, One thing is here in history. How this political history changes events. Its course. Devaraya fought Firoz Shah Bahman, and when the peace restored, when the peace they entered into a peace pact with each other. Devaraya married his daughter to Firoz Shah Bahman, and marriage was so splendid that you cannot even imagine. This is how politics, this is how relations play their role during politics, and how relationships can get influenced while solving any political matters. But this peace did not last long. ठीक? Confusion entered into this ready kingdom. हाँ? ठीक है? Now, कि अब यहाँ से विजयनगर ये चाहता है कि मैं रेडीज पे अपना कब्जा जमाऊं. यहाँ से बहमान्स क्या चाहते हैं? हम अपना कब्जा इस पे जमाए. Ultimately, what Devaraya did, Devaraya won. He entered into alliance with Varangal, means the 50-year alliance that had earlier set in between Bahmans and Varangal that had been struck off now, and now Devaraya one played his role, entered into alliance with Varangal, and inflicted heavy defeat to Firoz Shah Bahman. ठीक है? ठीक है? Ultimately, वहाँ हमने देखा बुक ऑफ वन के अंदर बहमान्स वर विक्टोरियस. यहाँ कौन विक्टोरियस हो रहे हैं? विजयनगर. Because of changing relationships, because of fluidity in relationships, we can see political events also change. This is history, and history has to be studied or to learn at least develop perspective what can happen in future. That is the proper understanding of history. See, today if you compare the events, you will find the same things are happening. That's why it's often said history repeats itself. Today relationships also change. According to the latitude, they can use them. They try to find the leverage which one country can be used or for being successful, or for coerce, or for thwarting the progress of other countries. These things have to be learned. History. That's why history is important for us to be learned, because we can assume what can happen, because these things have already taken place earlier. And such जब ऐसे atmosphere हमारे आसपास पैदा होता है, तो we can presume things can turn this way. ठीक है? So history, we study about the past to presume or to assume what can happen in future, because history repeats itself as a lesson, and second time as a farce. मार्क्स का स्टेटमेंट जो यूपीएससी ने लेसन भी दिया था, ये ना ऐसे भी दिया था. आया समझ? सो देवराया वन पॉलिटिकली ये इसने एक अलायंस को ब्रेक किया और खुद उसके साथ अलायंस जोड़ी, और अगर उसके बगैर कंट्रीब्यूशन देखा जाएगा तो इसने एक डैम बनाया तुंगाभद्रा रिवर पे, और वहाँ ही और रिवर हरिद्वार वहाँ है, उस पे भी डैम था किसके लिए? ड्रिंकिंग और इरिगेशन पर्पस के लिए. तो नॉट दैट सिग्निफिकेंट. नाउ शुड वी लर्न अबाउट देवराया 2 as well today, or you have some, or it is almost 5 minutes long. Devaraya 2. Now this would be our last leg of our discussion. That's Devaraya 2, the greatest king of which dynasty? Sangama dynasty. See, again you will learn very important thing here. Devaraya 2, greatest king of what? Did he fight too many battles? No. Then how did he become great? He became great because of his vision. What was that, sir? What was that vision? Instead of fighting wars, or he laid foundations for future. He laid foundations for future. He strengthened his army. Strengthens his army. How? He incorporated many features of army of Delhi Sultanate. ठीक है? Of Delhi Sultanate. Even what Farishta says us here, Farishta is a book we have studied about it. Huh? Farishta, we have in his book, what does he write? Farishta says, what does Farishta say? Farishta says that Devaraya believed that Bahma ruler, the strength of Bahma ruler was to due to their sturdier horses and archers, which we have discussed. Whose statement is it? Farishta. Farishta क्या बोलता है? हाँ? कि बहमान की जो स्ट्रेंथ आर्मी की है वो किसकी वजह से है? परसों भी हमने डिस्कस किया. Because of sturdier horses and ability of their mounted archers. So, what did he do? Devaraya too. He
ये फरिश्ता क्या है कि देवराय सेकंड
हाँ
स्टेटमेंट इसका
फरिश्ता का स्टेटमेंट है कि देवराया कहता है कि जो बहमान की आर्मी की स्ट्रेंथ है वो किन वजहों से. तो उसके लिए देवराया टू ने क्या किया? उसके लिए देवराया टू ने क्या किया? He enlisted almost 2,000 Muslim cavalrymen and gave them jagirs and commanded all his Hindu officers to learn from their archery. ठीक है? Almost अपनी आर्मी में कितने मुस्लिम मैन को लाया? 2,000. उनको जागीर दिया और अपने हिंदू कमांडर्स को क्या बोला कि इनसे आर्चरी सीखो. ठीक. और यहां से ये आपको पता चल रहा है कि किन वजहों से किंग एक ग्रेट किंग बना. इसका विजन, इसकी फ्यूचर प्रेडिक्शन. हाँ. और यहां से एक चीज आपको देखने को मिलेगा, दैट इज वन थिंग. नाउ इससे पहले हमने इतनी आर्मी की स्ट्रेंथ और आर्मी का नंबर, इससे क्या हो गया? अब आर्मी का नंबर भी इंक्रीज हो गया, आर्मी की स्ट्रेंथ भी इंक्रीज हो गई. अब हम विजयनगर में एक और चीज देख रहे हैं. द नेचर ऑफ विजयनगर किंगडम is changing from segmented state model to the more centralized state model, because now central powers are becoming very strong. So this is, now we'll see a climax of it during the times of Krishna Devaraya. This would be all for today. I hope that this session was interesting and we had a lot of learning from these sessions. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.